We are together, and through this, we will survive.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, Marzook here, and today we will be checking out the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan class Star Optimus Prime, aka Star Convoy.
Star Convoy appears in the Japanese exclusive story Return of Convoy, 1991, which followed Transformers Victory. In this continuity, Optimus Prime is revived using a new power source called the Zodiac. His upgraded form is called Star Convoy, symbolizing his rebirth as a more powerful Autobot leader.
So here we have Star Prime, and you know what? Right off the bat, he is very super robot. He is very Japanese. They did a great job in capturing the aesthetic, the proportions, the ridiculousness of it. It is awesome from a visual standpoint. It is very Gundam Wing, and then it's very Dino Megazord. Somehow I can't explain it, but like those two design those two designed robos and mechas, if you will, share something in common with this design. Okay, let's check out articulation. That's as far up as his shoulders go. He can't quite do a T-pose. But this will go full 360, of course. Full 360, of course. His head can do a full 360. He cannot look up. He can look down, but that's more because of the transformation into base mode. You do get a bend at the elbow. You can spin at the bicep here, full 360. The wrist does a full 360. The hands do move. The waist, you do get a full 360. Oh. The skirt pieces do move. You can get the legs to do a split. Thigh will spin 360. You could kick forward this far. You could kick back this far. The knee will only bend about that much. And then you do get a massive tilt inward at the toe. And of course, toe will go in, but that's more because of transformation, but you don't get any of it back. So that's articulation. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you right off the bat what I don't like from this figure. So they chose light piping, right? But you have to use a super strong light for it to work. So it doesn't really work, so it sucks. I would have preferred painted eyes, but hopefully, and most likely, Toy Hacks will get us a sticker set that will include, optional eyes. Two, the only solid parts of this figure are the arms, the thighs, this area, and this chest piece here. But the chest piece does feel hollow to a degree, and that sucks. And the feet feel very hollow, but that's because it has to double as a playset, so I understand that, but it's not very good. And then there was, the issue that did come up about the windows being assembled wrong. It's a non-issue. It's a lot like, the issue that the 86 primes came with. If no one had told you, you wouldn't have noticed. So I'm not even going to bother fixing it because it's not super noticeable to me and it doesn't bug me. Um, the legs do concern me. The hollowness here is very thin plastic. Uh, I will not be storing the little trailer carrier van guy. Was it that MT-13? I don't trust the plastic. I feel like this is going to easily break and get brittle. The connection pieces of this that clip on here, not very good. Not very good at all. But $50 cheaper. Okay, for accessories, he comes with all these blast effects. And then he comes with this hilt, which is actually a matrix if you look at it that way. And then he comes with the Zodiac. You could also use the other blast effect into the hilt to make a orange looking fire lightsaber thingy if you want. You could insert the blue blast effect into the hilt to make like this jumbo lightsaber. And if you wanted to, for some odd reason, you could insert the Zodiac into the hilts, just like that. Of course, he comes with his ion blaster or ion cannon, and it is proportioned to him. So this thing is huge. This thing is longer than this deluxe Transformers 1 Bumblebee. And he comes with this little bullet. You could load this tiny little bullet into his blaster here, like that. You could also put the bullet here at the end of a blast effect, so it looks like it's firing out of the chamber if you wanted to. Okay, this little truck dude, I think his name is M2 or something like that, like MT-13. I'm sorry, it's MT-13. He's like a little carrier truck, and he's kind of cute. He has his little wheels that do roll. He's adorable. He's awesome. You can store the little core class hot rod that came with him, that came with Star Prime. You could also use MT-13 with hot rod in this cool little weaponized mode here. Looks pretty cool. Here we have the cute little hot rod that comes with the Titan class figure. He's really awesome. He's really simple. He's really faithful, again, to the original. He's not too complicated, except this guy's not a Micromaster. This guy is a core class figure. So, yeah. Articulation, moves like that, moves like that. Can't really articulate the head. The arms over here are on a ball joint, so you can at least spin them. No wrist articulation. No articulation here. Kick that far. Kick that far back. Kick that far. Kick that far back. bend at the knee, bend at the knee. Yeah. The little hot rod and his vehicle mode. It's really cute. Looks exactly like Hot Rod because it's Hot Rod. Little core class guy. Neat little wheels. Rolls pretty good. So yeah. This is what became of Roller. Apparently this is Roller. Yeah. In the old school toy, this was motorized. This is not motorized here. But he does have wheels that give him the ability to roll. And then, of course, you fold them up and he goes into his battle platform mode, which I'll show right now to show off the spinning turret. And then, of course, that becomes attached to Prime's base mode. The turret here does have a action feature, which you could spin this sucker and have him spinning around, just going crazy, just shooting, just getting everyone that pew pew action. And I gotta say, it was a big pain in the butt to put Hot Rod in there, but it's a neat play feature. Okay, so here we have the base mode, and historically, I am not a fan of the base modes, but you know what? It does what it set out to do. It is incredibly faithful to the original base mode. I'll try to put a picture up here somewhere of the original base mode, and it's incredibly faithful. But this is the mode that is responsible for a lot of the hollowness that we got was in order to pull off this base mode. So, we had to get the hollowness for it to be faithful. And it is pretty gnarly. You could attach all these blast effects that he came with to get your pew pew bang bang on. And it looks pretty cool. So if you like base mode, you'll enjoy this. Like I said, really faithful. Not for me, but it looks cool. An option for Hot Rod is you could have him sitting in there in the chest, like he's manning the entire battle operation, the little base here. And it's kind of funny. There's so much red that you could barely see Hot Rod's arms and legs there. Zodiac stores in here. Also store Hot Rod in his vehicle mode. All right, so here we have him in this ridiculous armored truck mode, and this is just ridiculous. This is just insane looking, but you know what? Again, extremely accurate to the original G1 toy, original Japanese G1 toy. Very long. You got your tank treads here. You got this big old stripe with the Autobot logo, which is, like a tribute to the original trailer. Of course, you could store the weapons here. You could store his big ion blaster right here, the turret from the base mode. The turrets that are on his shoulders make this up. It's really cool. It's really cool. These nice little pinned wheels that roll beautifully. The nice wheels right here on what becomes Roller when he's separated from this entire section. He has nice wheels. They roll too. He's a big, ridiculous truck, and you could certainly see where Armada Prime and its truck mode most likely got its DNA from. It probably got it from here, but this is a big chunky truck. It's a big brick with wheels, and honestly, this feels like the most solid of the modes. You know what I mean? The most solid. Like this feels very heavy. This feels very dense when it's in robot mode. You could tell there's hollowness in it. But when he's in this mode, he's nice and dense. So this might be the better mode in comparison to the robot mode and the base mode in terms of holding it. You know. But yeah, beautiful, just beautiful. That's all I could say about this. And of course, you could attach all your blast effects in there, etc., etc. Okay, so the instructions tell you, and in every other person's video, that you store this guy in here. So you got these ports right here that connect to these ports right here. But the problem is when you connect them in there, the ports get stuck. And since the plastic here is really flimsy, I'm not going to store it in there. I'm not going to put it in here. And I wouldn't suggest anyone do that because I'm pretty sure you're going to get stress marks here. This plastic is not strong enough to do that. If you want to do that, you want to run that risk, go ahead, but I'm not doing that. Another thing is when you're in this alt mode, the ramps come out, but this guy cannot roll out, and he does not fit. But if you wanted to, you could put tiny little cars, Micromasters, or these little core class cars in there fit nicely. They'll roll in there and everything, and you'll be able to close it up, etc. But yeah. Well, like I said in the review, and you're going to hear from a bunch of other people, the chest feels hollow. The legs down here feel hollow. These side panels here are loose. On some people, they snap off. On mine, they're okay, but they have problems actually staying connected. He's a very good figure. He pulls off that Japanese super robot look. He does the job with the proportions and everything. The hollowness had to be done in order to pull off the base mode. And I feel like if we wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have been able to have the base mode, and maybe that would have angered some of the fan base. Like, if we eliminated the base mode, we would have had a really solid figure, but people would have been complaining that it was lacking the base mode. The base mode is the reason that we got the hollowness in the legs and in, the chest area. Because if we didn't have the base mode, it would just robot to that big armored tank mode. With that being said, this is very faithful to, that animation, the artwork of this robot. Base mode is incredibly faithful to the original toy, and so is, the truck mode. Again, I don't like the thin plastics that were used, in the leg areas. That's going to be a problem. A lot of people were having problems with the windows here, but aside from that, I really don't have any problems with it. I wish, they could have painted the eyes because this light piping doesn't really work. I wish, that this, the antennas would have been one whole piece. It was kind of a pain in the butt, to get these situated, when I had to install these right out of the box. But you know what? He's a decent figure. Yes, he's hollow, but he's $50 cheaper than the traditional $200 price point that we have for Titans. Yes, he's smaller, but he's more hollow. But this guy's a lot of fun in base mode. You could go crazy. You have this, the blast effects, the little core class hot rod here. If you have a bunch of little mini cons or micromasters, you could go crazy with this guy. Do I recommend him? Yes. At 150, he's a good price. But honestly, um, you know, if this guy got down to like 130, later on for like a discount, I'd pick him up for 130. Unless you're like a die-hard completionist and you have to have all of like the Japanese G1 stuff that they're putting out, I would highly recommend picking that up. Otherwise, you could skip it. But yeah, guys, thank you for joining me in the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Do all that good YouTuber bullshit. Hit that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to tell a friend. Don't forget to smile, because the strongest always smile. And I'll see you guys later.